Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Being Bipolar, brought to you by Doobie Snacks. Yahoo! Now, tonight is the beginning of Season 3. With this beginning, I am using a new microphone given to me by my guardian angels out there in Virginia. Apparently, they like listening to my podcasts, so they, for my birthday, got me a really nice professional upgrade. So I'm hoping that you guys can tell the difference and understand me a little bit better. I can get more professional and maybe get sponsored and get paid for doing this. Yeah, there's the dream, right? But instead, I just like to push a lot of happy thoughts out there, and one of the things is I've got a lot of people out there who do care, and they want to hear more. So, on a side note, number one, I have got somebody out there in Scotland who is listening, and I love that because I belong to Clan Armstrong. It's all over my Facebook and Instagram and all that, but my family heritage is basically three lines. It starts with Scottish, Scandinavian, and then the Irish. So they're basically in the Norseman upper part of Europe, or actually in Scotland, Scandinavian mix. So, and Clan Armstrong basically got their name for being able to put Robert the Bruce on his horse with one arm. So Robert the Bruce named his clan Armstrong. And we blossomed from there. And there are a lot of crazy ones of us. But I have a fan out there in Scotland, and that really makes me feel good. That it's all the way out there. Just me being able to contact somebody in that part of the world where I feel my heart belongs. I've always told myself if I could make enough money, I would drop everything, go to Scotland, Edinburgh, anywhere, and just retire and live my life the way I feel good. But in any case, thank you in Scotland. Now, side note number 2, the climate. We noticed we had an earthquake, Northern California, on the fault lines. Yeah, along with this cold front that looks like it's going to be colder than a witch's tit. Oh, shout out there for my math teacher and Deep Purple fan. Now, tonight's episode is going to be about Top Gun Maverick, the movie. In 8 hours, I watched it 3 times, and I began to watch the original Top Gun. The original came out in '86, and watching this version, it is so well tied in. The characters are beautiful. They brought in Jennifer Connelly. Now, I have a history with Jennifer Connelly. She was one of my first female actress, heartthrob, loves, however you want to say. When I saw her in Labyrinth, I just fell in love, and it blossomed from there. I have 2 pictures on my wall autographed by her. It's just, I've been following her forever. And every wife that I've ever had gets jealous over that. It's kind of funny. Anyway, with her being Patty, that tied in right there. The beginning part. Then you've got the son of Goose, which when he played that part, I swear he had all of Goose's mannerisms and the way he approached things. Because I'm rewatching it now, and I can tell you, the actor that played Rooster should get Best Supporting Actor, hands down. The emotion in this movie is the second one. Oh, when Ice and Maverick have their conversation, it got really emotional. But the reason I'm bringing all this up is that not only did I live in that life, being in a military family, I I came up with a lot of feelings and emotions watching this because my dad, who I have so much pride for, spent 28 years in the military. We worked, or he worked, we lived in Lemoore, California, the fighter squadrons out there. He was a maintenance chief for VA 147, and he did a lot of the fighter. The thing is he told me stories about how he would work with these guys and Top Gun facilities where he would go down and he would help work on the newer forms of aircraft. He had that much knowledge. And I didn't know this. I was a young kid. When my dad would be gone 6 months out of a year because he was on a Westpac, which is basically an armada showing its balls off to the world, floating all over. And all these fighter planes that are touching and going, as you see in the beginning of all these movies, they do touch and goes all the time. And I used to sit and watch these, not only on the ground, but on an aircraft carrier. They were called Tiger Cruises. And my grandfather and I, God rest his soul, I love that man to this day and never will end. Grandpa Armstrong and I, we went from Hawaii, we flew, and then we'd spend 2 days while they were outfitting the aircraft carrier for us. There was a lot of kids. We flew from San Diego to Hawaii, and then we took off from Hawaii back to San Diego. It was a great thing. I will never forget it. I sat on a bench watching these airplanes touching and going. The squadrons gave shows to us every day of different airplanes, helicopters, search and rescue. I mean, everything they were doing, they were showing us because we were their kids. So I spent a lot of time in my dad's office watching him coordinate all these things with these airplanes. Maintenance, storage. We've got to put this engine on this airplane to match the serial numbers. Things like that. I mean, it's very meticulous when you work as a mechanic for the government, especially in the military. You got paperwork on wiping your ass after a bathroom run. Okay, that's how anal they are about things. But I learned a lot on that Tiger Cruise. So much pride and respect for the military, period. And on a side note, I would, to this day, have the Senate demolished. Get rid of the Senate. Instead, put a military council in effect. Why not, America? We educate them. We respect them. We ask them to not only defend us, but to kill for us. And democracy. And what is right and what was wrong. They go through, a lot of these commanders and a lot of these generals, admirals, they go through a lot of psychological evaluations. They go through rigorous training. They learn. You notice on CNN, on the channels that actually care, they've got very intelligent military retired people. You know, they're the ones that are giving the guidance on the situations that are at hand in the world. So why is it that we're not using their experience and their knowledge that we have been teaching them? Why not make a council? Get these people together that we trust and that we know and respect, and give them a choice, give them a chance to say what needs to be said. Some of these people, they don't take shit. And a lot of Congress and Senate, that's shit. And we keep doing it over and over and over again. Let's try something new. If it don't work out, give it all to the military. Sorry. All right, let's get back to the family matters. Now, on the military bases, when you're a kid growing up, there are only really 3 things that you can do. You can go bowling, which we had bowling leagues on the summers. Or you can go to the movies, which the matinees during the days, they were all just a quarter. And my mom at the time was working at the commissary. So she would get tips in change. So she, in turn, piled them up in a jar, and every Saturday and Sunday she would allow us to walk down the street. Now, mind you, I'm like 6 or 7 years old, and my sister's 4. She's 2 years behind me. But we were freely able to walk down the street without any bother whatsoever on a military base. Now, that's just something to throw out there, by the way. If you ever want to feel safe, go to a military base. Tell them you feel threatened, you'd like to sit outside or like to sit inside the fence for a while and just watch them do their job. You'll feel safe there because it's our military. They are under oath to protect and serve. Not just like cops. These guys are actually trained. They have the experience, and if they don't, they go through so many drills that it is instinct. Being in that culture, our fun was safe. We'd go to the movies Saturday and Sunday, we'd get our popcorn, we would watch, and it was all animation like Bedknobs and Broomsticks, Xanadu. All the G stuff that actually gave us a pretty good feeling, And then the third thing is karate. I don't want to get into that. That's a whole different program. So, now, we were able freely to move around everywhere. And that was on a military base. But when my father got transferred to Washington, D.C., my first memory of being out here is actually living in Manassas. Now, I got to tell you, living in Manassas was quite a trip, man, because I didn't feel free to walk anywhere at that time. So, we're going to get into another discussion, another program about Manassas. So, I got to tell you guys, my cats are going nuts and disturbing the hell out of me. Alright, now, what we have is Manassas was a hellhole. But we met our long family friends there. So I can't really say anything bad because the good outweighed it. But I started to understand more about life because that's when I started to get into the music. That's when I received my first Kiss album. And Manassas had a big influence on the way I looked at my father in the military because he had gotten a promotion and gotten into the Navy Annex, and he was doing a lot of work that way. My dad wasn't a particularly paper pusher kind of person. He knew people like Oliver North, which I have a lot of respect for Oliver North, by the way. But he knew people, and he understood the low, because he worked from 1 to 9. I mean, becoming a senior chief, a chief, a master chief, all of those, that takes a long time and a lot of work, a lot of effort. and a lot of brown nosing and moving back and forth. We went from San Diego to Virginia to California. We were back and forth, back and forth. There's a family joke of I was made in Japan when my mom and dad were there. My dad was stationed there. And they were flying back to San Diego, and then I was born. So my sister gave me a t-shirt for Christmas one year, made in Japan. God bless her, I love her. But the military has been trained for so many different things that I would trust them more, like in the hands of Donald Trump. Can you imagine if we had idiots in our military that followed Donald Trump and what he actually wants to do? Wow, that would be devastating. But no, we've got admirals and generals that go through a lot of emotional training, and they deal with things the way the military deals with things, because you can't put emotion in a lot of decisions when it affects everyone and not just yourself. When you make decisions up there in a military level, you can't think of your own opinion. You think of what instinct, because the experience it took for them to get from point A to point B. Many of them have gone through hell in a handbasket in all these little wars that had no significant value whatsoever. We lost a lot of military men and women because of stupid choices. You're never going to get democracy out there. It's been that way for 3,000 years. Get over it. Let's start worrying about America. Being in a military family, I realized that I have such a great foundation. And I didn't use it for the longest time because my mind, when I hit puberty, completely altered and changed. I had a great foundation because I was in a military family. The military took care of us because my dad took care of them. I think that's a pretty good trade. But the downfall is that I lost a lot of that foundation because I lost who I was. Side note, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to hear, I feel the need for speed, and then the hand slap. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you just got it from the mouth of the South. No, sorry. But loving and respecting the military and giving them the opportunity to be a military senate. And it should be an elected, but elected within the military, because they know each other the best. They know what each other have gone through. So they have the right to be able to judge each other. To them, it's a brotherhood. When you do that, what you do together, there's a lot of a bond. And I hate myself at times for not going into the military and following my father like my little brother did. And now he's offshore welding pipelines in Washington State. He's making buku bank because he was smart enough to realize that he had a great foundation with his dad and his mom. They gave him that, and he has no issues, and he followed his heart. And I have a lot of respect for my little brother. He accomplished a lot that I could never do. I would love to have the mindset to be able to, but I'm not wired that way. So through trial and error and experience, I've finally figured out how to deal with the illusion of not having a decent foundation. I'm starting to realize that it is there. And I want other people to try and figure out for themselves that if you were in a particular situation, how would you feel? Not what you would do. How would you feel? That's two different things. Because you could feel like you could, kick ass. But did you? Are you true to yourself? That's your foundation. Your instinct is your experience, is your wisdom. Your memories from a philosopher I'd heard on a certain TV program is that your memory is your wisdom. And when people start losing their memory, they start getting pretty off. So in my case, I find things that bring back memories electrify my brain. It activates it. It makes it more useful because now I'm not going to search for the word. I'm just putting things in my mind in little tiny cabinets so I can save them. Like Stephen King did, Dreamcatcher. I put things where they belong, and things that don't really need to be there, I get rid of them. So I have room for more memories. Watching Maverick tonight, Top Gun, brought back so much emotion. And movies like that are priceless because not only are we getting a visual, but we're getting that foundation coming back to us. We're getting those great memories that bring on more memories and allow you to memorize what you're feeling now. So when you see or hear the music, and that's a whole different story right there. Because the music and the soundtracks, they trigger these memories. Even if you're not wanting to watch the movie, you're going to be hearing some of the music. And one of the things that tied me to Top Gun was me and my girlfriend at the time. She played a little bit of piano, and I was getting into my guitar. And we wanted to join together and work out the theme. And I worked on it night and day, and I bet you anything she did not even try. But I did. Anyway, that's the 12-year-old in me. But the music in the new one is actually really, really good. Lady Gaga sings the ending story, and it's just the whole soundtrack ties in, and it actually gives you more to trigger the new movie. Like I said, I sat and watched it for 3 times in 8 hours straight shot. And that's how impressed I was with it. So, all in all, peeps, this one was about your memories. Good ones that are triggered. Your foundation. Let them overwhelm your mind. Let them become a lightning storm. Okay? Because it activates your mind. It frees you. It brings you a little bit of hope and joy of a memory. And that's priceless in this day and age, Lord. It really is. So, this is Doobie Snacks. And I'm giving a shout out and peace to the people I love in Winchester, Virginia. My guardian angels, thank you. God bless all. Bye.